Obviously, this is about private finance. It's also about public finance. And that brings me to our next speaker, Andrew Steer, who is Special Envoy for Climate Change at the World Bank. Andrew, I believe your appointment actually comes at a time of unprecedented interest in countries around the world in talking to the World Bank and getting assistance from the World Bank on this issue. So, Andrew, over to you.
Thank you, Steve, and thanks to the Climate Group for your leadership in this area. We appreciate it. This is MDG Week in New York City, the Millennium Development Goals. Leaders from almost every country on the planet are in New York to discuss how to reduce poverty. So why do we have all these meetings on climate change? Are we crashing their party? Are we crowding out the real discussions on poverty? Why are we here? We're here because in today's world, if you care about poverty, you care about climate change. We're here because developing countries will bear more than 3/4 of the impact of climate change, and they are the least equipped to deal with it. We're here because even with tough mitigation efforts, climate change will put 100 to 400 million at risk of acute hunger, and 1 to 2 billion people will no longer have enough water to meet their needs. So should we be here this week discussing climate change? You bet we should. You know, there's an old-fashioned view that says that rich countries can afford to worry about climate change, but poor countries have more immediate concerns. This view has been totally debunked over the last few years as we've analyzed where poor countries are putting their own money. 4 out of 5 poor countries have put climate change as top priorities in their poverty strategies. The World Bank has the privilege of working with almost every developing country in the world to help them reduce poverty. But does this include climate change? Well, if you look at the first 5 years of this decade, 2000 to 2005, you'll see that about 1/4 of the countries in the developing world asked us to engage with them in climate change. In 2008, this had risen to 67%. And in the last 12 months, 88% of all World Bank country strategies which are requested by developing countries include climate change as one of the 3 or 4 major pillars. So some people say that with the global recession, the disappointing results from Copenhagen, and political realities in some countries, climate change has gone off the boil. Don't believe it in the developing world. That's why we're now engaged in well over 100 countries, working with them to promote low-carbon development and climate resilience. And that's why we, like you, need to support the government of Mexico and Christiana Figueres and her wonderful team as they work towards getting a good deal in Cancun and sealing a deal in South Africa. So what are the priorities as we approach Cancun and then beyond? First, financial promises must be kept. The 30 billion fast-track promises must be honored on time if trust is to be built. Second, a comprehensive understanding of forests and their role in climate change and in future carbon markets must be reached. Third, another win-win, momentum must be built on incorporating agriculture and soil carbon in our thinking. Fourth, obviously, energy efficiency and renewable energy programs must be scaled up dramatically. World Bank last year provided 3.6 billion for this, and it's rising every year. Fifth, carbon markets need to be reformed and extended. Transaction costs and inefficiencies need to be brought down, programmatic approaches scaled up, and the reach gradually extended to include forests and soils. Sixth, we need to agree the principles of the future global architecture for financing climate change. This need not include one monolithic central fund. What matters is that poor countries feel that they can control the investments going on in their own countries, and all countries need to know that they are getting good value for money. Key here will be leverage. The sums of public money will never be enough. Scarce public funds must catalyze larger private funds, and there are some terrific examples out there. The Clean Technology Fund, for example, $4 billion. In 12 months, it was allocated $40 billion of investment will happen. And finally, and in some ways the most important of all, the private sector must be engaged and public-private partnerships must be pursued, because at the end of the day, it is the trillions of investments that matter and will determine whether we succeed or fail much more than the billions of public money. These things will all happen. The question is, will they happen quickly enough? Please count on us as we partner with you to try and make it happen. Thank you.